Now did it work? What's up? I hope so. Excellent connection. Good. All right. How you guys doing? We got a Cadillac XTS. We are going to be doing all the sides and rear. We're going to be doing Pro Classic. Thank you. Thank you, robot voice. So loud. We're doing 35 in the front, 20 on the rear. I get to set up TikTok too, don't I? Something like that. Good morning. My software is bugging too. I can hear you guys, but this chat software, I don't know what happened. Maybe they're gonna kill it.
Yes, bro.
Oh, now it's there. Huh. Okay. Yep. All right. It's good for now. About time you can show off your door tape cover. Woo! Covers! Now I can no longer get questions about carpet shield, thank God. But yes, we're going to be using it on this. There's already like 2 or 3 small improvements that I want to make, but so far it's good. He's using. God. Whew. Hang on. I'm trying to log into TikTok. They sure made this easy. I'm not getting a SMS verification. So how am I supposed to do a verification if you actually are not going to send it to me? That's awkward. Mine should be showing up anytime today. Nice. How much are you charging for that? All the sides of the rear, $290. That car's sick. It is pretty cool, huh? We got a red one. I'm so used to like either black or white. I'm glad to have a red one. What's the stuff you put on the door panels? Now we're gonna. I don't know. We're like. This has been like the most rough product launch. Detroit Tint Studio. Yeah, it's like telling me it needs to do a SMS verification. That's super annoying. But for whatever reason, it's not actually sending me one. So how am I supposed to log into TikTok to go live on TikTok too? I just ordered the plastic cover. Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, right now it's loosely being called door panel guard. And I don't know. I think that's fine. We'll call it carpet shield. Panel aid. No, we're going for a pretty straightforward thing. Like the seal guard, I thought that was a little over the top too. I was like, seal guard? Maybe we could do like tape guard or seal tape or something, but there's like so many other things that is called that in different industries, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll go with seal guard. That's fine, and that's just what it became. So with this one, it was like door guard or panel guard, and I feel like panel is not as searched. So like then you could do like a twofer and just do door panel guard, because I'm sure door guard is like a security thing. So I don't know. I put Carrie on it. She's gonna figure it out. Because I told her I think this is what it's gonna be called. And she let me know about the other stuff before. Affordable carpet shield. I like it. Seal Guard Wildlife Foundation. Yes, we protect the seals. You know what's funny about the seal guard is like it's a tape seal, so like a little badging on it. It's that was like at first when I looked at it, I was like, what is that? And Carrie's like, don't worry about it. No, she's like, it's not supposed to be anything in particular. It's just supposed to be like an iconic type of thing for your logo. But yeah, it's essentially, let me see if I can pull this up. You see this? You see this over here? Look, that's a tape seal. It's nice. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna. What can I? Account does not exist. I don't even know. I guess I'm just gonna skip TikTok Studio because it's not doing anything for me today, unless I got banned or something. Nope. Nope, still good. If I go to live, it's still got that. I don't know. No, I like TikTok. TikTok's fun. I used to get so many broad questions on YouTube years ago, and I haven't seen that in a long time. And then when I started making shorts, you get that audience again. And you need both. Is business booming? Overall for window tinting, it's definitely on the mediocre side. It's not crazy busy at all, but I don't expect it to be. I mean, in a normal climate, yeah, but seriously, cars are way more expensive than what they used to be. So it's like sticker shock right now, and everything went up. So including, like, I'm a perfect case study for this. We had one vehicle. We were looking to get a second vehicle, and then we were shopping around. We weren't in a rush, and it was like, holy shit. I wanted something that was similar to the Blazer, maybe a little bigger, more like an Explorer size, but not an Explorer. Everything was like $750, $850. I'm like, good God, for like a lease. It's not that like, it's ugh. I like it, but I don't like it that much. So then you just keep like shopping around, and that's eventually got the Model 3, and the Model 3 was like way cheaper. So I know a lot of people are going through the same types of things where they're looking for a vehicle, and then they're just not, they're just gonna wait or hold off or go find something else, and you know, if you spend that much money on it, it's like now you don't have as much money for anything else. So it's probably gonna be a little rocky for a little while here. Ever think of getting into car wraps? No. I mean, yes, I've thought about it. There's definitely like those associated businesses. And I think if you're just trying to diversify a skill set, then yeah, go for it. The reason I haven't is because I do video and I have the store over there too. So I don't have time to personally do it. I would have to start another side of the business and have somebody else do it. I just don't have the time to do it. My dad's shop was a pretty good case study for that. They went into wraps pretty hard. And it just depends. It's always work to break into like another market. There's definitely some crossover between window tint and vinyl wrap. I was a little surprised at like some car audio shops, because I figured when somebody was coming in to get like new speakers, they would get new speakers, they would get window tint, they would add a couple things. A lot of people are like one thing at a time. Just depends on like the types of people you're really marketing to. Like how much disposable income do they have? How many are you attracting? You'll definitely have people that will do everything. But in some areas that were definitely like not super high income areas, we still made good money doing window tint. But it was a lot of time like these people are here for window tint and these people over here are for car audio. And there was very little crossover. We're gonna throw this on. Super chat. What's up? All right, let's turn this on. Oh, and it's not even working. God, we are just... I wonder if it shut off. It did shut off. Why did it do that? Samuel, thank you so much for the 2. What are the different ceramic lines Geo has? They have 3. And I'll make them real simple. There is Carbon Plus, there is Pro Nano Ceramic, and then there is, God, what was the other one? Apex. So Carbon Plus is very similar to Pro Nano. It was basically brought in as an alternative. This was when there was a lot of like, there still is some, but there was a lot of shipping issues with all the pandemic shutdowns and whatnot. So that was brought in as a healthy alternative. If they couldn't get Pro Nano, here's this one. It's similar. It works well. And then there's a lot of people that still like it, so they still have it. But they're very similar. Those are single-layer ceramics, so meaning they have one layer of ceramic blocking heat. Apex is their super ceramic that has 2 layers of ceramic in it, so it blocks even more heat. Have you tried High Tech? No, they haven't sent anything over here. All right. So we good? Okay, we got some work to do. Have you heard about the multi-directional shrinking tint? Yeah, I made a video, and it was so obnoxious. Not on that film. The video was, and it's been this way forever, and it still is with 99% of films out there. Films shrink one direction. They go up and down. And what KDX did was, I guess they put 2 layers of film together, and one is like turned. So essentially you can shrink on the sides as well. So that'll make it way more user-friendly, which is really cool to see. But then some of the comments I got was, oh, you don't have KDXs, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, bro, nobody's fucking got that stuff. Shut up. Shrinking dryer sheets actually help. Okay, so yeah, for sure. You need a waxy surface on the back window when you go to shrink it. There's reasons why we do, like, we're tinners, man. We want to do as little as we have to do to get the job done and out the door. So everything that we do has a purpose to it. Dryer sheets, dry shrink prep. Those put down, oh my God, I was going to put a tape line here. Let me get my roll just a second. I'm going to try something too. We'll do this. Okay, so these are the new rolls. Maybe we should just call it, no, I'm not going to even say that. So what we did is we basically took that white seal guard tape and we put it on plastic rolls. And so these are 100-foot long drop covers with good tape on them. On the next run, I want to make the tape a little bit taller. There's like a few little changes I want to make. But these still work pretty damn well for first run on it all. So, holds in place. So instead of having to do the layer of tape and then carpet shield on top of that, then you just do this. And the plastic on these, like this product, this is not like a brand new thing. But I tried a bunch of them and they all have paper tapes. And the paper tapes get wet and they basically fall off. So this has a better tape on it, and it's also, I made it so it's got a longer drop, where a lot of them only have a 24-inch drop. So they'll stop right about here. So on trucks, water would still get into like the bottom cubby holes and stuff like that. So this goes all the way down. So on shorter, taller doors, all of them, it works on that, which is cool. Do you recommend epoxy floor or plastic tiles? How much is a roll? $10. $10, 100 feet long, which is pretty damn good. The carpet shield that used to be up there, that went up to like $50 for 200 feet, which was, that's when I was like, all right, I'm done. Plastic tiles or epoxy floors? It's a good question. The plastic tiles are nice, but they definitely show a fair amount of dirt, and they're a little harder to clean that way. And dirt is still settling in all the grooves and stuff. So I really need to pull up the floor, clean it all out, and then put it back down. Because it's just like progressively getting worse and worse. But epoxy floors are really nice too, as long as they're prepped right. So a company should like come in, grind down the floor some so the epoxy sticks better. And it'll, oh my God, see, I'm doing that thing. And it'll last for a long time. The biggest difference with here is I don't have drains in my floor. So if I had epoxy floors, I'd be standing in the water. This helps keep me raised up a little bit. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. If I was washing cars in this bay, it's pooling up underneath, it's running out the sides, and I don't have any way of like sweeping it out of the way. So it just depends. Epoxy floors, I think, are going to be a little bit more expensive, just depending on the surface area, though. But these are not going to be much cheaper either. Like, they're going to be easily like $4 or $5 a square. I mean, they were like $4 a square before inflation, so I'd imagine that number's only gone up. Cool. I just like testing this stuff out too. That's easy. I'm gonna now cut these out. So we'll roll the windows back up. We'll do that. I usually cover up the door panels when I'm about ready to install, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself with just trying some things. So let's turn this sucker on. Come on. There it goes. Good old hold it for too long and then have it start up. Anything to shut off? No? All right, cool. Sweet. I use these, but the cheap ones off Amazon, but I put the line of sheathing tape on top because one is masking tape. Yeah, I was doing that too. That's, so they make those, they're not uncommon. So you can buy ones with like the 3M painter's tape at like Lowe's or Home Depot. Those have been around for a while, but same thing. They're masking tape, so they don't really stick super well. And what I was doing for a little bit here was I was trying the paper rolls, but you still have to do two things. Exactly like you said, you have to put a roll of you have to put a line of sheathing tape down, and then you can do the drop plastic on top of it, and that'll stick. So either way, you're basically putting something like this right along top of the door panel. Yeah, so what we did was I took this same tape and then we put it on drop plastic rolls, and now it's just combined. So then it's just one step instead of two. You mean prices go up? Prices do go up. So these are made with a narrow version of your tape. Mm-hmm. Yep, and I'm noticing I wish it was a little bit wider. But it's one of those things where you kind of have to get so much made to even play around with it. How do you find people to make things for you? You start Googling manufacturers and reaching out to them. And then there's ones that will be like enormously. You just do a lot of research until you find people that'll make stuff. Like there's actual companies that it's their entire job to make stuff. So you just find somebody in an industry and you hit them up. And then you start asking lots of questions and see what you can actually do or not. All right, so this is another thing I was just playing around with. A couple of magnet hooks on the tool cart, because I thought if this worked out pretty well, then I would just already pull it off of a roll, kind of like we did with the carpet shield. So, seems to be pretty handy. You also have to make skinnier rolls. I think it's a big roll that gets cut down, kind of like a tint roll. So that part of it probably was not too difficult. My question was like, I know everybody uses like masking tapes, but would there be a problem to do this? Can we make it cost effective enough? All that stuff. So it worked out. Ooh, what if I did that after the fact? That would be interesting too. So like I'm playing around with a couple of options here, just as far as putting it on. I always tape the sides, and I was wondering if there's any clever ways to kind of work those things together to create a little more of a watertight barrier. So this is definitely some of that. Yeah, I don't even... I know I told the story a while back of, like, even trying to bring in tuck tape, which was, like, a favorite for a lot of people. And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome if I could literally just, like, carry it in the store. And then... oh, yeah, that was a mistake. Don't do that. There we go. Oh, that's kind of nice. That actually might be pretty helpful. Put it up like that. Take a little piece here. And let's just like wrap it. Interesting. Yeah, I was trying to pull in tuck tape. Because I get relentless questions on where can I buy this and where can I buy that. So it gets really annoying to just say search on Amazon, because also Amazon is always changing. Is this something that you're... Oh, it's in the store already. And I'm pretty happy with it. I just already want to make changes to it, that's all. So, we'll go through this and then make some hopeful changes to it, because I'm pretty sure I can make the tape taller. Because that part, I honestly wasn't sure. Maybe have two styles. Yeah, it's always a possibility. Might be worth having two. It's really, I'll play around with this for longer, because if you make... It's like, so it's already attached to the plastic, so if you make the tape too tall, it could potentially make applying it really annoying, because then the plastic and tape, it might like kind of flip while you're unrolling it. Leaving it thin like this makes it so you can get into little tighter spaces and whatnot, but I think it needs a little bit more tape. All right, so we're gonna do 35. When are the clay bars? I don't know. I'm still waiting on clay bars. This is like when I had to wait on glass edge tape for a while, and that was like out of stock for like months. It's like similar situation with that right now. Super. Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you for the 10. Can't listen to the stream, have to watch later. Want to pop in, keep me on. Thanks for inspiring others like myself. Dude, thank you. I appreciate that. Where's the fog? Oh. Oh, there it goes. Thank you. That was supposed to work on its own. All right, we're gonna do this with a 36-inch roll. This is cut in half now. Flip one side to the back side. So they're essentially reversed. Tint side is facing me. That's a scarier way to do it. But essentially, they're mirrored. How many more appointments? I am just doing this one today. And we're gonna cut this side. Shift. I don't know why I didn't think about this. I saw somebody with a video that did a little hard card trick on the side. So they wedged the hard card against the side seal, and then they held the knife against it. And I was like, oh, duh. That seems like a handy trick. I don't know if that's a handy one on this one, though, because it's not a very defined seal. It's a real slim, tapered one. But on this backside, it might work better. For someone starting off in the tinting world, what size film would you recommend? And would you recommend having multiple options? Whenever it's in your budget, yes, definitely multiple options. But you need to like leverage those options. So as far as size rolls, if I were to buy one roll, that would be a little difficult. I always like two rolls is going to be two roll sizes is going to be the best. I guess one size I would just buy 36s because I would assume that you're probably doing a car first. But if you get a truck, you're doing like the sides and the rear or just the front two doors, then you're going to need like a 20 or 24-inch roll. To cover all trucks and SUVs, a 24-inch roll. To cover most or some trucks, a 20-inch roll. Sorry, was I saying that right? 24-inch roll will cover everything on all the sides and the rear. 20-inch roll will cover some of the things. So like if you have a Ram, you can still get by with a 20-inch roll. But if you have a newer Silverado or F-150, you need a 24. So kind of depends on what you're doing. But 36 24s are a good bet. Get 20, get 5, and a close third would be 35. Get those 3 shades. You can order 50-foot rolls if you're getting GO. Start with like their Pro Classic if you're only gonna bring in 1 line of film, because there's not really a need to do like upgrades and stuff. Because it really depends on like where your market is, where your price points are. So if you're just like trying to do a tint job for a couple $100, just do Pro Classic. If you're like, hey, I'm gonna charge like $400 or $500, then yeah, you could get a ceramic, no problem. But the average customer isn't gonna know the difference between any of the films. They may have heard of carbon and they may have heard of ceramics. Some people at this point have actually had it done and are getting new tint or whatnot, but there's a lot of people where tint is tint and they don't know the differences between any of them. And so if you just get a nice quality color stable film, you'll be great. So the reason you would want to carry multiple though is so you can obviously make more money, sell higher prices, and the reason why it's hard to do that with just one film is like there's no context. So you could start with like a carbon, you could start with a ceramic, and you can just tell the customer it blocks a lot of heat. But they don't really have any real understanding, like, oh, is that good? Is that, like, I've never felt the difference before. I've never seen them in person. So the better you can kind of demonstrate that comparison, it often sells itself. You can stand there and talk, or you can just like, hey, this is what it's actually going to do on your car. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Heat boxes are great. Is it better to trim one side of the tint? No, I just did that because I'm right-handed. So I just kept flipping it in a way that was easier for me to cut. That's all. So if I'm like cutting this corner, if I'm trying to go up in the direction of the entire window, I'm trying to basically blend this line. But if I start on this side and then go this way, then it's a lot easier for me to get a straight line. So I just flipped it around so it was easy. What film are you putting on this one? We're doing Pro Classic. We're doing Pro Classic on the front, rear, 35 and 20. So this is just your, my cheapest tint job, actually. We don't do as many of these anymore, but still a good film, man. This is what color stable dyed films, like that's all I used to install. It's like tint is tint. You just need a workhorse film. This is that film. What's up, son? Has anybody ever fired a customer? I don't think I've had to fire a customer here. I'm trying to remember. I definitely like came close with not even taking a job just because like they were really pushy. They almost like demanded a discount or something, or very insistent on it. And I didn't want to get into the job with even like somebody trying to demand a discount. It's like, look, this is just how much it is. If you want to make it cheaper, we could not get my most expensive option. So I can work with you on that. but sometimes you get people that kind of demand the best. And then they're like, all right, so what price can you really do? And it's like, no, that is the price. And then you get in this little back and forth, and then there's bad vibes. And I don't like that. Because then, at the end of the job, you don't want to have any type of other disputes, or they start, like, you don't know if they're maybe that type of person that's going to look for problems. Doing a 93 F350, and I just can't seem to get a grip on it, wasting so much time and film. Windows won't stop moving around. Ugh. Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. I don't have any good advice for you. Do they have those stupid vent windows too? Yeah, like I'm definitely not shy about turning something like that away, because I know it's literally going to turn into that. Because I've been in that situation. They suck. Challenges can kind of be fun, but when it's I don't know. Some people like them. I don't necessarily like them that much. Especially when your day to day is like so, like when it's a lot of straightforward stuff. And then maybe you charge like 100, 150 more on something like that because you're just like, yeah, that's more expensive. And then you waste like 3 cars worth of time in film, and then you're like, oh shit, I just lost on this one. I avoid classics. Same here, actually. I hardly ever get asked about it, too. So it's not something I even have to do regularly. So if I got asked about it a lot, I would likely do them more often, but when it's one inquiry every like 3 to 6 months, maybe, then how does that make sense? There's so much in and out on those cars too, especially when they're like a coupe. It's not even something like I'm gonna stream. I'm just gonna like suffer with it all day. So, yeah, no thank you. Yeah, so for this, it's easy for me to just cut in that direction. So to keep this line going straight, it's really easy because I can see, and then I can keep drawing a straight line. And then here I have to kind of guesstimate and go into this area, but if I flip it around, this takes longer to do though. I can continue this straight line a little bit easier and then just round off the end, and I know exactly kind of like where that lands, and I can make a nice little pretty corner on that. So yeah, a lot of flip-flopping definitely takes a little bit of time, but it's just more natural for me to cut in that direction. See, so that's not far off, but the main thing is this is my straight edge. So I'm just going to flip this really quick and continue this line, because this is going to be the exposed one, and then we're going to go into the side. So that's not as crucial. Straighten this out a little bit. There we go. Around this little guy. We're good. When you first started, how long did it take you to finish a car? I think my first one was at least like 6 hours, but that was after I was training with somebody. My first car was a little unfair, though. It was a older Taurus. I had a lot of those Tauruses. Man, I've completely forgot about them. I used to get a lot of like 2005-ish rounded body style like Taurus and Sables. I did those a ton. little like 6 mil. It wasn't even a 7 mil. That's how much. It was like either a 5 or a 6 mil behind the speaker. I did an 05 Jag S-Type. Yikes. Yeah, the back window is annoying. Excuse me. I have allergies, and I have decided to leave the garage door open today, so because it's nice. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be sneezing. Yeah, Jag sedans, like across the board, are kind of annoying. The XJs are like really annoying. I don't like XJs. You essentially have to pull the whole deck on that one. Any tips? Any tips on how to get faster at tinting? You gotta force yourself to be under pressure. Because the more leeway you give yourself, the more you really slow down. A good chunk of the, like, good reason why I got fast was I was tinting for other shops and other people, and I didn't have time to screw around. They're just like, they give you like less time than you think to get the job done, and then you make it happen. And then it's just that over and over again. So now that I have my own shop, oh yeah, I go way easy on myself. I also have good reason to take longer too, but I would set a timer for the sides and the rear to be done in under 2 hours. That's usually like a healthy leeway. Hour and a half on average, but give yourself 2 hours for sides and rear. Give yourself about an hour to 45 minutes for a windshield, and give yourself about an hour for a set of front doors. It's a good way to space your timing throughout the day, and you should be able to do the front doors in under an hour. You should be able to do all the sides and rear on average in under 2 hours, and then just try and keep on point with that. So on some jobs you might go a little bit over, and that's okay, because some other jobs you should be able to tint faster. So I think a lot of people spend too much time on prep work and cleaning. And if you just kind of forget about that part, you'll be a little better off. Like, you don't have to skip it, you just skim through it a little bit faster than you might, and you work on your installation being a little faster, and then before you know it, you're saving time. And then look for anywhere you're looping a lot. So if you're constantly walking around the car, you're wasting a lot of time. It should be pretty intentional. So like I go one door, then the next door, double cut patterns, lay them out, run around, shrink them real quick, and then I start installing. Hang on, I'm gonna run this through. What's good pay for both of my tinters? That's a good question. Well, if they're working together, they can generally like save time so they can split jobs. But then there should be like some sort of a, I don't know, usually like 30% commission. Yeah, it depended on the time and the shop that I was at. It was around like 30, forgot. It was either 30 or 40% commission at the shop. Mobile was like 50 though. Is TVU a good brand to tint with? I wouldn't trust it on my customers' vehicles, no. But it's great for practice. It's actually like a decently thick film, and it's really inexpensive. So it's like 90 bucks a roll on Amazon. So I just wouldn't trust it long term. That's basically it. If you want to do like less expensive tint jobs and just like not really attach much of a warranty to it, then yeah, go for it. But it was really, really good for practice. It's actually a video that I was kind of planning out. Somebody asked a really good question in one of my live streams. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. But what I was talking about was, like, if you had $1,000 for, like, a starting budget, what would you spend it on? I think you could do it for less, but I was playing around with some options with that. I always buy your products, seal guard and tint slip. I had the tape pull off some leather on top of a 2016 7 Series door panel. Ooh. Okay. That sucks. I'm really sorry that happened. That's never good. We saw some of that early on with house wrap tapes. So they're not, like, there's this, like, annoying balance. What I always say is be careful on using them on exotic and special materials. And the longer that they stay on, the more like baked in that adhesive is going to be. So on some door panels, they don't stick enough. And on other door panel types, they stick a lot. So there isn't ever going to be any type of perfect balance. It's just, in certain situations, you're not going to want to apply that tape in particular, and I don't know what would be a good alternative. That's why sometimes we were honestly using carpet shield, or, yeah, somebody said possibly pulling the door panel in that instance. Yeah, like, there's serious, like, and it's annoying because it's like a 7 Series car, so I'd want to leave it alone too. But wiping it off with the towel just frequently, or having it covered up in a different way. Left it overnight with them taped up. Ooh, yeah, definitely don't leave them taped up for more than like a day. Because it really, like, these tapes, like house wrap tapes, they're made to be like permanent application tapes. Like, they're for houses and stuff. So we're using a really strong acrylic adhesive because that's what sticks the best. But the longer that it sits there, it's just like, you know, it'll start to bond with that surface more. But still, what I said, 100%. Definitely just do it with caution on anything that is not your average door panel. So your soft touch stuff, your hard plastics, those are all fine. Old leathers, those can be an issue. They can literally pull the dye straight out of the leather and leave like patches and stuff. But the only things I don't know is I don't know how long that kind of stuff was sitting there. Side seals should basically always be okay because they're either rubber or they're felt. But door panels, if you're not removing the door panel, you have to kind of like wedge something in the seal, or you have to stick something to the panel. Or just spray lightly and wipe it off. But you never know when you're going to run into something quite like that. All right. So that one's done. Let's go to this one. I removed a rear view mirror once on an older truck and to tint the windshield, and it broke. I try to avoid those older trucks now. Was it a Ford? Almost knew it. Daniel Reyna with the 10, thank you. Kamastapo. Just want to stop in and say hello. It's good to see you, man. I hope you're staying busy. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. An old Navigator? Oh, yeah. So there's two style Ford mirrors, and they're both like pinchy mirrors. So it's hard to explain which one. Like I can show a picture of the differences, but there's an easy style to remove, and there's one that breaks windshields. You pick the one that broke windshields. Always be careful with Ford mirrors if they don't have a screw. So in that case, I would honestly just splice the tint and just let the customer know ahead of time. Like, hey, I can't remove this without breaking your windshield. So this is the best I can do. Would you like to do this, or would you not like to do this? And let them make the decision. Like, there was a post about a car wash sticker yesterday, and it said void if removed. And like, they all say that, void if removed. But hey, if you're unsure, talk to your customer first and just see what they want to do. Like, figure out what options that you can do. You know, just like going to any other car service, they'll let you know if there's an issue, if there's a problem, if they run into a hiccup, unanticipated thing. Like, hey, this doesn't normally happen. Like, your customers are usually pretty chill. So, always talk to them first. Minimize your risk in any way that you can. Because, yeah, like, tinting this might end in breaking it, and I don't want to do that. I have an upset person, potentially. I definitely have to pay for something. Minimize that any way you can. I think I used to be a lot more nervous around customers because I just didn't interact with customers regularly at all. But when you do, it's just like, oh, we're here to do like a fun thing to your car. So if anything, it should be like, they should be happy to be there. And you should be excited about like dressing up their car and stuff. So that's cool. What we do is not 100% needed. Any mirrors without the screw, I cut out a tab for the mirror. Yep, that's fair. There's some other ones that can definitely be removed, but they all like, there's either like your twist offs. There's some with little pins that you can like, or little tabs that you have to press back. There's a lot of little different styles, mostly when you cross over into like BMW, Audi, Nissan. They just make them a handful of different ways. A lot of them just have little screws. But like a, what was it? Like a 2015-ish Audi or something like that. I don't remember the year. But it was an Audi SUV. It was a little older. It had a big plastic housing around it. And then we pulled that back. And it like unclipped in like 3 different spots. And then the mirror was like a spider-looking twist-off style. That was fairly easy to take off, but kind of a pain to like twist back on just right, but we got it on. Definitely made the install easier, but I didn't need to remove it. It was just one of those things where, hey, I think I know how to do this, and I guess I'll just take the gamble today on it. And it worked out. Da, 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 da. Boom. Nice. One time I was doing an older Accord, I removed the door panels, got the job done fast. When I was done, none of the doors opened. Ooh, that sucks. I've definitely had my fair share of run-ins with issues. But I was working at shops at the time too, so there was a lot more there was a lot more help with that kind of stuff. So we also did electronic stuff too, so thankfully you send it over to like the guy that does that, and then he can kind of, you know, pull some stuff apart, see what got wet, blow some things out, and we can do some like rough cleanup on it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Most cars are really straightforward though. You only run into that once in a long while. That's why, like, going back to the windshield comment, join the Facebook group and generally just pay attention. Oh, come on. This needs to lower. Because the group is full of a lot of people with questions and problems. And so usually they'll run into an issue before you will. So you always keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. You never know. I'm running I'm running water through whatever was in here last. But yeah, I've had to pay for a handful of things. Super chat. Who was that? Oh, now I get it. Nick! Nick, thank you for the 2. I appreciate it. A tip for the Envision job. I tinted his Envision. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for that coffee. One more. Had an older Mercedes, window went all the way up or all the way down. Yikes. Yeah, there's not much you can do there. Ooh, you want to know the worst? The worst is like the smart windows that were very dumb. So at some point, you would see this on like Audi and BMWs. They have little sensors, so when you roll up the windows, if it felt like it was potentially like squeezing somebody's finger, it would automatically roll back down all the way. So a safety feature. But window tinting, we kind of put it in this in-between state, and then we tap on the window a bunch, and then we roll it up. So sometimes those systems just like, I don't know what just happened, and then it rolls up some, and it rolls all the way down, and it just kills your entire pattern, and there is no way to stop it. I think the only way would be maybe turning the car off if it started to do it. But man, that pissed me off. I would tint a window 3 or 4 times sometimes before it would stay up. Turn the car off, tint what I needed to, turn the car back on, roll the window up, and then that sometimes would help it instead. Yeah, those systems drove me crazy though. And you take like 2 front doors. Oh yeah, it'll be real quick. And then 2 hours goes by because it kept ruining your patterns. And it already was annoying to tint. Sucks. I remember being at a lower price point too. We would get a lot of Grand Prix. A lot of Grand Prix, Grand Ams. And then every once in a while, actually on a fair amount of them, the rear passenger door, the switch would be dead. Or just the window wouldn't roll up or down. So you'd have like most of your like we did plotters at the time. So we'd have patterns cut, we'd shrink it, we'd have a few of the doors tinted, we go to that one, and then find out that the window doesn't roll up or down. You're like halfway through a job, and then you gotta let a customer know, like, hey, your window doesn't roll up or down. Some of them would say, oh, I'm pretty sure you broke it. And then you're like, oh shit, I should have checked. Now we're screwed. It was working fine before. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't, but I can't prove it. That's probably going to happen to me again here soon because I just talked about it. I haven't had that happen in a long time. Something about raising prices. And then you just don't see those problems anymore. Oh, it's great. That's why I get so much of this. Ugh. There we go. This should be good. What's your tint solution? It's this stuff. We're using tint slip. So I put 2.5 ounces of this in a 3-gallon keg, and that's all I need. I'd say that worked out pretty good. Stool. The new Lucid cars look like a pain. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen one in person, but I've seen videos of, like, the rear. Chicago Auto Pros did a good video. Like, they did a nice tour of the back window, and we're talking about, like, the panels and showing, like, the gaps and stuff. What's up? Uh-huh. The back 3? Yeah. So the doors in the rear? It would be $220.
Oh, that would be $220. Do you have anything lower than 5%?
I have a 2% I could do.
Okay. We have a 2%.
The earliest I could get them in would be Friday next week. Yeah, we definitely ran through it. So anytime I see this, like where you spray it on here, like if you spray it heavy, you get it to sheet more. If you spray it light, you see a lot more beading. It's worth taking a scrub pad, but if you spray it a little heavier, you should be fine. That's generally what I've run into. Was it not quick enough for him?
He said he'll call back.
So
He said that will probably work for me.
that'll probably work for me, but I'm gonna look around first before I let you know. Yeah, that's fine. He wanted the rear in a 2%, so. Although I can almost guarantee you most shops are not going to say they have a 2%. But yeah, I saw it. God, there's quite a few articles. Lucid is Lucid is not doing super well. I didn't really realize this, but for like high-end car makers, they don't necessarily make a lot of money because they sell a lot less of them. So it really just depends. Because eventually what you need to do is like lower your price down to a point where you're selling a whole lot of them. Or your cost to build it really isn't that high. But if it's expensive to make and expensive to buy, and you're not really making much on it, you're not doing too well. Yeah, I saw like with the new one, they're talking about like almost $200,000 on that car. I mean, then I hear things about like Ford is losing, like everybody's like losing money on EVs right now except Tesla. That's interesting too. So they're like trying to switch people over to EVs, but at the same time, like some of them are just not making money. Is there anything to worry about a Honda Accord front windshield 2019? Actually, yeah. Yeah, the windshield's straightforward. Just keep it well covered. If you spray, like if water runs in a bad spot on that one, you're not gonna have a good day. I haven't had that happen. I've tinted a fair amount of Accords, so I was kind of surprised to hear that. So I think some people are just like going overboard. So get yourself like a nice dash towel and a soak shield rope, and you should be fine. Just cover it, yeah. All new cars. This is what I always do, anyways. And what drives me crazy is I think there's people that are just very lax about covering things up. So like they'll throw a towel on the dash, but they won't tuck it in. They'll just like, oh yeah, I just like threw some microfibers on it, like covered, and that is quote unquote covering the dash. And it's like, no, you didn't. And I've noticed there's a whole lot of that. Like so when we talked about getting dryer sheets, it's like, oh yeah, I use dryer sheets. It's not working for me. It's like, well, which ones did you get? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like, And like, I've had phone calls with people. They've called the shop. They're like, hey, can you give me any advice? They're like, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I bought a heat gun and I bought dryer sheets. And it's like, what heat gun? Is it the Wagner one? No. What dryer sheets? Are they the Snuggle? No. Oh. What film are you using? Oh, you're using a different one. Well, no wonder why you're having different results, really. So, like with the whole baby shampoo conversation, does baby shampoo work? Yeah, with some films. Like, but if you find that it's your film, like you add a fair amount of baby shampoo and your film still seems very sticky, then you're gonna want to use something else. So there's things that exist to help with that now. There we go. You left a soak shield in a Model Y. Nice. I can tell you there's a fair amount of Rams that I tucked towels along the BCM wires, and that I can guarantee you they're still there. Probably a helpful thing to keep there, but oops. Oh, I just did this old Mercedes the other day. And like I had to pull a trim piece back. And it's really goofy rear quarter windows on that Mercedes. But so it's like a convertible style rear quarter window where they roll up and down. But it was still a hardtop coupe. So it was just like the worst. The worst of both worlds. And so I pulled the trim, and I had enough clearance to kind of push the window back and drop the whole window in there. And then while I was doing that, you like had to run around to the driver's switch to roll them back up and down. It took me like, I was cutting different patterns for this one for like 2 hours. God, it took me forever to tint those windows. And during all that, I accidentally dropped a hard card into like the panel. That's just gone forever now. Oops. You dropped a tri-edge in a door panel. Yeah, I have to imagine people that are like bottom loading cars, especially, just like the occasional tool is just like, oops, ah, shit. Free gift. My bad. Yeah, that kind of stuff definitely happens. It was really dumb, too, because I hadn't had a hard card in years. So we just had the last class not too long ago. So we got hard cards, and I was playing around with it, and then within a week, I lost it. And I was like, well, there goes my only hard card. If you get an older 2005 Maxima, I would love to see you tint it. Well, I got the Ultima over there. We've made a lot of videos with it. Older Maxima shouldn't be anything crazy, though. But if we got it, we'll probably go live with it. Cool. That's all clean. Tinting the Ultima all day. Maxima's not fun. And it's been a minute. I don't remember that one. Don't get as many Nissans. Had a fair amount of, like at the time, oh, there it is. Had a lot of Camrys. So like that was most of the extent of like the Toyotas that I would do regularly. But yeah, I get basically like a small amount of Subarus, Hondas, Toyotas, Nissans. I see them, but just not very much. We have like they build like the Ram trucks right around here. So really like a lot of the big three. Get a lot of like, get a lot of Jeeps, Rams. Your mix of GM and such. GM, Ford, all those peoples. All right, so we're letting that dry real quick. And then we're gonna do 20. Good, Pro Classic 20, all right, cool. Just making sure. My headset, man. Well, I forgot what warmer days felt like. It's not really warm. This headset definitely gets a little uncomfortable. Does it have the rear curtain? It does. So a little less space on this one. I should probably turn off the car at that point. Thank you for staying on for so long. So let's see. Yeah, on this one, it's not really like annoyingly in the way, but it definitely takes up more space than I'd like. Otherwise, this whole deck would probably be flat. So bulldozer, all in that stretch. These will pop out. Those are heavy. Dang, Cadillac. Back when Cadillac made boats. Yeah. Yeah, I still got plenty of room to get a bulldozer back there. It's a pretty flat back window. But bulldozer will get the job done. Is a Workhorse 2 a good plotter? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Workhorse 2 is good. Workhorse 1 is basically going to be the same thing. Some small differences, but not really like any big practical ones. So you could get a Workhorse 1 instead if you want to save a little more money in that range. Workhorse 2 just looks like a better machine, but functionally they're pretty identical. So the biggest thing about any of the plotters in that range is going to be roller positions. It's got a lot of rollers, but you only need 2 rollers for window tint. And on the Jaguars and up, they have an extended roller on the far right side that helps with different size rolls for window tint. So there's a little bit more fiddliness with moving rollers back and forth on Workhorse machines. And they're a little bit more of a manual setup process, but not really like, it's not going to take you a long time one way or the other. It's just, if you have a better budget, I would suggest getting like a, like a Jaguar or Obviously, like Graphtec or Roland are pretty damn good machines too. But as far as budget machines go, yeah, they'll definitely do the job. All right, we're gonna do, I don't know, we're gonna do that shrinky method. This is with Pro Classic too. I wonder how fast this is gonna go. So we got the class coming up next week. I'm going to show everybody this method, and I want to see what ways that people can screw this up. Because I really don't think there's very many ways people can screw it up. If you can do this, you can shrink a back window. Maybe we'll take back window shrinking time from like 3/4 of a day to like the first half hour of the class, and then we'll move on to installations. Because like, holy shit. We're running out of topics today. Weather is much better. We went through that like April psych out that went for longer than it usually does. And last week was like decent, but still on the cold side. Now we actually have some good spring and summer weather. So I think it's supposed to hit like 80 today. We have really nice summers in Michigan. I'll give us a lot of credit for summers. Winters go on for way too long. But when it gets nice out, it gets real nice out. Would that shrink method work more on complex back windows? It's worked on everything that I've tried it on. I'm sure you could probably pick a handful of things. So, like, would it work on a C6 Corvette? Probably not well. But I don't know. The vast majority of back windows are all, like, this is on the flatter side, but I have no doubt it would work on a Charger just fine. Because really what's going on is you're taking the heat and you're getting it really close to the film. And so it's for sure going to shrink. And when you keep it moving, you're like evenly shrinking a good chunk of film. And then once you go through the entire thing, you pull it at the end, and that helps release it if it's stuck in any areas to like the dry shrink prep or whatever you laid down. It readjusts your film, gives you time to readjust any corners too by just pulling it. Then you smooth it back out, kind of see what area you're gonna bunch up to next, pull it back just a little bit again, just kind of make that area a little bit loose, and then go over it again, and within, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times at like the most, you're gonna have that whole window shrunk. So it's not faster, but it takes all the thinking out of it. So when you're dancing around with a heat gun, you know, it's a lot of explaining on this is what it should look like, and then you sweep it out. But when you're brand new to it, it all looks the same. You're like, I don't know, but he says when it looks like this, press it down. And then you feel like you know what you're doing. And then you're left on your own for a little bit, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, this looks weird again. I don't know what I did wrong. So doing things this way, like that's why I'm excited to try it out at the classes, because I until you just put it in somebody's hands, we'll find out if there's any like huge downside things that I have to explain. But I think there's really going to be very little. I think the most that anybody's going to do is probably just move too slow and like way overheat the film. Other than that, they'll probably not put enough heat, and so it's just like serious. But that's why we have that little rule, like keep the heat gun this close, and unless you're like going, which is obviously not what I'm doing in the video, then it's gonna start shrinking. So it's only a matter of time before you make enough passes and the thing's shrunk. Snap shrink the rear windshield. It can definitely be done. I just know what it's like to try and teach people snap shrinking on tours. That goes like way over people's heads. So I understand why the double snap method became so popular. It's because like shrinking door windows is like annoying to explain to people. So snap shrinking, I don't really consider it advanced, because if you see it in person, and you've been shrinking, you can get a hang of it pretty quickly. But sometimes it's just, I don't know, people don't understand it very early on. But I didn't know about it until I was like 7 years into tinting, so there's that. From Vietnam, hello, what's up? That's a long way away. It's probably, I don't know, it's got to be like 2 or 3 a.m. over there. Have you seen a video where somebody shrinks an older Camaro, or tints an older Camaro windshield, or back window? Yeah, without shrinking? Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw that. And I had an older Camaro the other day, and you know what I did? I shrunk it. I don't know if it's going to be every one that's shaped like that. Some are probably a little bit more bowed than others, but yeah, the idea there is like it's kind of rounded this way, and then it backs up and goes the other way. So it's just like does the reverse in a similar amount, so you can actually kind of stretch it out to fit. But so much of that window is actually shrinking in the middle. And you don't have to shrink it a lot. It's more stretching it out, and then the bunched up areas, just put a little heat on them. So that's a window where you don't want to do a 50-50 split on the old Camaros. You want to do it like way up here and see how it sits. I think you can do it with an older Prius too, possibly. Yeah, there's probably a handful of cars you could do that with. Somebody's gonna hear that and now think that they don't have to shrink back windows. It's like, that's the fortunate downside to this whole thing. Well, you said you don't have to shrink the Camaro one, so like, do I have to shrink that Cadillac one? Do I have to shrink like that Audi one? It'll just confuse too many people. I got my windows tinted last week. A lot of controlled contamination on top of all the windows. What's controlled contamination? Like if there's dirt in the film, there's just dirt in the film. I'm going to tell him to change this. How do I tell him what not to do to prevent it? You don't. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can say. You can't tell somebody else how to do their job because you don't do their job. So you could be just generally nice and go, hey, I noticed there's a lot of dirt in this. I'm not really happy with the work. I would like it redone. And give them a shot to make it better. And if they can't live up to that, then you're going to have them pull it, get your money back, and go elsewhere. A lot of small bubbles in specific areas. Yeah. It's just, the unfortunate part is, like, that puts you in a tough spot because you could pretty much guarantee that it was noticed before it was delivered, and he still delivered it to you like that. So unfortunately, just not a very good contractor. Kind of one of those situations. You hope it doesn't escalate and they're able to fix it. But I'd bring it back. There's a reason you went to them in the first place. Give them a shot to fix it. So this goes for both like customers and shops. It's be nice, be friendly, and if they start blowing it off and pushing back, then unfortunately you got to do the same thing, because you got to live with it, not him. He's got the money to do the job. Now everything else that he's got to spend to try and fix it is lost money. So hopefully it's a good place, and hopefully they'll make it right. But yeah, if you started off with, hey, I talked to this YouTuber and he said this is what you need to do. Whew. No. All right. Yeah. Yeah, it goes down a little far. Thankfully, there's not. Like, this could be a lot worse. they give you like a fair amount of space between there, and they give you lots of, this is like one of those instances where, from my perspective, I actually have a lot of room to work with. Like the car is just taller. So while this is fairly sloped, it's not like they made it so it's, I got like half an inch between this and the glass. Because some of them are real bad. Like Scat Pack chargers are worse. Those have a pretty curved back window, and then they don't give you much space between the deck and like sloping down the back window. I don't know why they only do it on the Scat Packs, but they did. So now that we got it in place, we're gonna squeegee out the top because that's quick and easy to get to. Then we're gonna push the rest of it down to where we can reach. And then we're gonna bulldoze it really from the center out, just so you're not bunching up any film and everything has somewhere to go. We'll tilt that bulldozer at a little bit of an angle, and that usually does better for sweeping. So make sure you flex that. Oh, thank you. Flex it, sweep, 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 sweep. So the corners are still a little annoying to get to. I'll get to the super chat in just a sec. I could probably push the dozer down into that corner. I just never like to push it into a corner flat and then try and pull it back out. I'll do that as a last resort. This is what I'll do first. See, tail fins, man, I'm telling you. They're handy for tighter corners and areas that are just harder to reach. Do that, because it look at the way that the deck pushes back, so that helps press back up on the tool and really get it to fit snugly. So you should be able to just give it a couple swipes. And if it didn't remove everything, if it was a big spot, I'd try and just do it again really quick. But looks like we got everything out. And then I didn't have to worry about that bulldozer getting stuck in that corner and just like, you know, the corner's gonna be your weakest point. If that corner flips back or something, you just yank it out, I just ruin my entire piece. Side swipe would be good too, except I don't have enough room to get there. Tail fin. I like that tail fin, man. There were some other people, there was a post about it though. Some other people had some different preferences. They didn't say what the name was though. So I would really appreciate hearing like the other options people really like for those situations. But for me, the tail fin has been good. Whale, whale, whale. Look at that. That turned out so nice. All right, super chat. DC Customs with the 10. Thank you. I just did a Hellcat. But I just did a Hellcat front windshield. After I was done, the car would not turn on. I used a soak shield rope, covered up the entire dash, used minimal water. So after 30 minutes, for some miracle, it was fin. Did it come back on after 30 minutes? Thinking of not tinting any Dodges anymore. I don't blame you. Chryslers, like, so you all know the Rams. Chargers do a similar thing. 300s do a similar thing. And I know, because I've had to deal with some of that. And like I said, the like big three around here. So when Chargers came out, man, it was Charger City. Chargers, 300s, those were like a daily thing that we would all do. We tinted a whole bunch of them. So like especially like those defroster issues, stuff like that. I came into those very early on. Best I can say is, yeah, cover it up like you did. There's a time that those freaked me out too. I would just try not to push water as much out the sides. But yeah, using a soak shield and a dash towel, covering everything up, doing the best that you can. Those were the most common for any types of issues like that. They put on the Rams, you guys know where they put the BCM. It's over on the driver's side kick panel, but it's easy to get to. On the Chargers, they tuck it up in this area, and it's not easy to get to. So you have to like remove a little bit of this, and they put it right up in here. So see, when that water then gets pushed out, it'll tunnel and go right to that module if you're not careful. I mean, potentially even if you are careful, obviously, but yeah, that's not fun. Cover it up the best you can. Otherwise, I'd pull that. After 30 minutes, it turned on fine. Oh, yeah. I hear ya. I would too. It's just not a fun situation to be in. Yeah, they're not fun. I would have set it on fire if it didn't turn on. That's one. Yeah, the car just lit on fire. I don't know. It's definitely a dealer issue, not my issue. I wouldn't let it count out every Dodge or Chrysler windshield. I mean, main reason is like, look at how much money you're making from doing those, and then not doing them. Yeah, you wouldn't have to pay for like a potential expensive situation, but how much more money are you gonna make from actually like weathering through that? So that's where, you know, like doing a classic car, does that make sense for me? Not really, because I only get one. I'd maybe get one a year. I just don't see them. But if I turn down Ram windshields, that's like turning down probably, I don't even know what percentage to put it in, but it's for a long time, it was the vast majority of the windshields that I did. And I saw so many posts about people frying BCMs and electronic issues, and it to the point where shops will just outright turn them away. But ever since I learned what the issue was and how to address it, I've never had an issue with it. So I'm more than happy to do Ram windshields here, and I've made way more money than I would have lost. So that's the only other part that I would weigh in there. It's always scary to have unknown issues. Posting that type of thing in the Facebook group too can be helpful, because then you never know if there's going to be that guy that actually has a really helpful comment that like, oh yeah, I've dealt with that. This is how I cover them up. I charged him $130 after the fact. The guy said other shops were quoting him $350. Every once in a while, I get a customer that says I need to raise prices. Actually, no, they don't say I need to raise prices. Customers say, like, wow, you're cheaper. And I'm like, really? So they still get phone calls where people are like, okay, thank you, and then they hang up. $130 for the windshield really isn't bad, though. Like, I start windshields at $150, especially when you're doing, like, the entire car. So if it was, like, a ceramic film, yeah, that's less expensive, but I used to do windshields for $130. I mean, shit, I'm doing the whole rest of the car for what? This is $290. So we have some jobs that are like, you know, $550, $700. Like, so it gets up there. But not, they don't all have to be. Could that little squeegee work on the first gen Nissan Leaf quarters? Maybe. I mean, it's great on little windows. I don't remember what the Leaf front quarters were like though, but I've used this in so many, like I could get a turbo in here and squeegee it just fine. I like this little squeegee on a stick thing. It's really, really flexible. Small, long, and tight. Exactly. You got the baby squeegee. I thought it was a joke when it was released, but I put it up there with like my opinion of the shank. When I first saw the shank, I thought it was a joke. And I said, this is dumb. And now I have a custom green one. So this thing, when it came out, I was like, oh, that's silly. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. But dude, I use this thing so much. I love this little squeegee. It's just easier to reach in spots. It does a really good job. And it's really convenient to just pop in my tool belt. So I carry this around and use it way more than I use little turbos now. If I could put the turbo, if there's like a little stick that I could screw into a turbo or something like that, maybe I would do that. But I like how thin and flexible this is. This is awesome. Good leverage with it. Good everything with it. I'd say the biggest downside to it is just changing out the squeegee if you need to. So most people aren't going to have a screwdriver that's this small. So over here I have like a more like electronics type screwdriver. They're just a little on the small side. So like the fat screwdriver that you would use for like the handled squeegees is going to be too big for something like this. So they've got two different, you get two sticks. You get a whole bunch of like small, adorable little squeegee blades too. You get orange, you get blue, and then you get cropped and uncropped, which is really nice. And like I won't go through that one. But then they have an attachment for a razor blade. And this is where I think it could use a lot of improvement. It holds it really well. But when you gotta go change out your razor blade, you're literally like unscrewing those, popping a razor blade in, screwing them back. It's just not convenient. But it makes it a nice slim profile versus like the little like tab thing. So I don't know. I just think that attachment really isn't quite worth it. I would have preferred two squeegee attachments. Do they make a baby hybrid one? This is honestly very similar to like the hybrid as far as material and like feel and stuff goes, but unfortunately no. Like glue them together and there you go. You'd have the hybrid colors. I don't think they're ever listening, but what they need to do is actually take the hybrid material and just make another cropped squeegee with that same material. That would be nice. Because that's why I use the hybrid. It's not because it's two-sided. It's not because it's squared. It's not 2-for-1 squeegee. I just like the material. It's like my favorite. So just take like the flat out or the orange crush shape or any other squeegee blade shape that they have. Just make a cropped version and don't leave it a hybrid. And hopefully drop the price down on it too, because Jesus. I'd like to see a baby tri-edge. There, funny you should say that. So I use the tri-edge X. There's a smaller one. I have it. I just don't sell them. Sun Distributing has them too, though. But yeah, they have smaller versions. I think that was the original, and then they made it bigger. My dad likes the look of 20% on the front doors, but it's a little dark at night with 35 and 50. 50 on the windshield, 35 on the front. Yes and no. So if you're looking directly through them in the daytime, it's going to look lighter. There's nothing about tinting the windshield from a side profile that's really going to make it look noticeably darker. But like as a whole, when you do a 50% on the windshield, yeah, it'll definitely it'll kind of give it that darker look. It's just like, there's two ways to look at it. I can look immediately through the windows, and it's just those two layers together. But if I'm looking at it kind of like a front angle into the cabin, then yeah, it's gonna naturally look a little darker. I have 50 and 35 and 20 on my Model 3. That's what I do on all my vehicles to show customers. 50, it's such a good range for the people I tint for. They're usually debating between 20 and 35 or 20 and 5. And 50% is often a really good thing to talk about on the windshield, because not everybody wants to go dark on the windshield, or if they're thinking about doing it, they're usually thinking about 50 or 35. So I show them 50, and then 35 would just be a significant amount darker. So it's a really nice thing to show everybody. I was actually thinking of doing the orange crush shape for the hybrid. Yeah, it would be nice. I just don't want to like take a $20 squeegee and just hack off one usable side of it. That's all. But yeah, it would work really well. Cropped ones are nice. Hybrids is still a good bang for your buck, though. It's uncropped, but like you get two sides, so then you could look at it like it's like two $10 squeegees together. Where I think like a lot of regular squeegees have gone up to, what are they? Actually I'll ask, what's a orange crush run nowadays? Is it like 12 bucks? Still not bad. You should just tint that Ultima windshield in 5 and everything else has no No, Ultima is staying very untinted, and it's sad now because it just sits in the garage all day. Same thing for my Blazer. Oh, I got to schedule that to turn it back in. We leased that out in July, so I have a little bit of time still, but I keep forgetting. I'm going to forget to like turn my lease back in, and they're going to be like, hey, now you owe us for the whole car. There's one side. That side looks good. Nice. Yeah, this side looks good too. Thanks for your help getting my tint redone. Got my front windows done by Protex in Texas. XPEL ceramic and did the brow and PPF on my Durango gloss black pillars for $220. Looks amazing. Buddy, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think you got XPEL ceramic. Maybe like 2,220 for like the PPF. Yeah, was that? I hope that was a typo on the price, because yeah, there's XPEL like wouldn't. Their films are too expensive. You'd lose money tinting at that price with what people pay for their films. What you can do is probably go on their website, and do they have a dealer map? They should have a dealer map, and see if that shop is on their dealer map. Because if they're not, then it's 100% not. Yikes. But hey, it turned out good. That's like pure evil shop right there, though. I'm gonna do everything, and I'm not gonna charge you anything for it. Hell, who wouldn't want that deal? XR Plus is like $840 for a $840 for a 40-inch roll? Really? Ooh. Damn. No, I guess that makes sense. So you could do Apex. And Apex will be $650. So put the XPEL tax on it. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, and the thing is, they've basically earned their keep on branding, because they're like everybody's first question, like, how much is it for that? And it's like, why does everybody want that? I don't know, because they're good at branding. But you can charge $800 for everything, including the windshield, for one car. That's generally how most people charge anyways. Like, whatever the roll cost is, they'll typically charge that for the car. Tint's nice because there's good margins in tint. So it's not that you can't find somebody that's like completely underpricing themselves. It's that you usually can't find a good person, and if you do, you can't find them for very long. They either like go out of business or they raise their prices. Because they quickly learn that they're undervaluing themselves. Can you show us the green tail fin? I did! I guess I can show it again. Ugh. Yeah, we actually used it on this car, but I will show you. I will show you Clearview. So it's very flexible. I only use it in low corners, and I only use it pretty much in corners. Bulldozer is really good for everything else. And then the side swipe. There we go. So, all right, I'll take the headrest back out for you too. Look at how nice. All right, so when you use this thing, it works best in cars that don't have space, because that's really the whole reason I use it anyways, because otherwise you can use any number of other tools. So the deck pushes back up on it, but it flexes really, really well. So what I like is that it's got an upward curve that bends against the glass. So when you push it in there, like I hold it like this, and I just swipe it awkwardly. And you just swipe that corner down. So I'll usually only use it like from this area over. So it's not perfectly flat. So it's generally not great for like the entire thing, which is again why I use the side swipe, and then I use the bulldozer for most of it. But the corners especially, I'd be really worried about getting the bulldozer stuck in a corner to where the deck pushes back on it, and then the corner is going to be the most sensitive spot. So when I pull back on this thing, there's absolutely nothing that can get hung up. It literally just slides immediately back out. So, high pressure situations. Jetta back windows, lower corners on those. And then there, I don't know, just, I can't think of anything on the top of my head. But anytime you run into that situation where you just don't have a lot of space and the bulldozer is just kind of wide, and it's not like, so you could push it straight down, but that's where there's a lot of curve on the window. So you could get by, it's just not ideal, but it could still work for the situation. Using something like a stroke doctor isn't ideal either, because you have like see the thickness of that white part? That's rigid. So same thing with like the side swiper. See the thickness of that plastic? So where the blade flexes against the glass and you have enough space to bend it back, flex it, and swipe out most of your window, it gets to those tight corners, and then all of a sudden the tool straightens out, and then you're basically rubbing just the plastic against the tint. It's not going to squeegee anything. That's where this thing is fantastic for that. What I would like to see is if they took a bulldozer and maybe just like slimmed it down a little bit. I don't know, play with the angles a little bit more, but you could potentially make this work pretty well. I always like tools with a flexible rubber edge instead of a hard plastic edge when it comes to like the lower back window tools. The plastic ones, sometimes you get that little air bubble or something. It doesn't really like flex against the window perfectly in a way that squeegees out all the water and stuff. But that's how you use it. Oh yeah, I have them right here, and I covered them in towels. What tint? This is Pro Classic. $290 for this one, all the sides and the rear. See, it didn't take that long either. Do you have another car after this? No. No, I'm on chill. Any tips on doing a 90s Corvette rear window? Ooh, no. Is that the one with the vertical? Oh yeah, I do actually. You got to remove the hardware on that. It's not as hard as you might think to shrink it. The tall defroster lines make it kind of annoying though. Woof. If I could figure out a way to get this headset to stay in one place, that would be great. Ugh, itchy. I saw somebody do it in 3 pieces. No, I've always done them in 1 piece. I know exactly what we're talking about now. Because it would stress and bubble over time. No, you should be fine with just doing it in 1 piece. I mean, I've heard of somebody doing the same thing where they like did 2 pieces and then 1 for the center. The biggest problem I had was like the defroster lines would cause little bubbles during installation, just like because they're thicker defroster lines. But you could sand them down a little and take care of that. But definitely remove the hardware. Keep the top propped up when you go to install it. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward to do. It's not as hard of a Corvette to actually shrink. I was thinking more of like, you got God, I did them back to back. I did the 60s, or what is it? I did like the 90s Corvette. I did like the 80s Corvette, and then I did like a 60s Corvette, where they all have like a similar shape, but like the 60s one doesn't even have a hatch that comes up. It just got like T-tops that pull out. Not fun. But yeah, take off the hardware. You can do it all in 1 piece. And then for the hardware, you're gonna wanna dry the hardware out, cut a little hole, put the hardware back in, but don't tighten it up all the way. And then what I would do is then get the hardware in position after like the whole area is dry, put the hardware back up to it, kind of tighten it down where it's gonna snug up, and then I would cut an exact cutout with the hardware in place and just kind of like release the tint, because those hardware pieces might shift over time and then cause your tint to kind of spiral. So it's nice to have a relief cut around it, and you don't see it when the hardware's right up against it. I just bought the tail fin. What are the 2 holes for? I have no idea. I genuinely don't. I like maybe have a finger resting there a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. It's a goofy tool. But it's awesome. They also have a yellow version. The yellow version is harder, and I don't know what the thought was behind the design. I actually just ordered another 100 of them, and GDI asked me how many I was planning on selling for the year. I think I don't know, probably in the neighborhood of like 800 for the year. They're handy, man. The holes are for hanging it. That could be. I don't know what the thought, like if I was designing a tool for that, it would look completely different, but it's funny that they work that way. I sell pretty much everything. I use a fair amount. Yeah. It's not like the store's bestseller, but it definitely like, I use literally 3 tools for like every back window. If I made my own tool, what would you name it? It would be named pretty much what it did. It would be pretty lame. I mean, because we've got like the glass aid tape. I put the most amount of thought into funny enough, it's right there. I put the most amount of thought into like glass aid. And then as far as like the product name is cut stripe or cut guard, I guess now, because we have the seal guard up there. And then we're gonna have like the door panel covers, so it's just pretty much what it is. But I definitely appreciate some of the really like silly tint names, like the Stroke Doctor is probably one of the best. What's the cheapest film to learn? Go to Amazon and get T-View, but just for learning. Yeah, I don't have any new tool ideas, and I generally don't until like I run into like a real big problem, which doesn't happen very much anymore, but like they just kind of happen. It was like I want to figure out a way to help protect the back window. I want to figure out a way to cover up like the door seals and stuff like that. So it's like there's stuff that I was already using, and then they just like jacked up the prices on them, or they were just not very accessible. What's your website? 313tint.com. But yeah, what I've always found funny is every once in a while I'll find like a low-key tool, and then like most stores don't sell it very much because nobody really knows about it, nobody understands how to use it, and then it just turns out to be that like, oh, that's a really cool tool, this is why it's really cool. And then when I start using it a lot, that's when a lot of people are like, oh, I either tint like him, or that makes sense, I didn't know that. So did my tint stuff go away forever? Pretty much. My tint stuff was supposed to be like a temporary thing for the website. And then I was never happy with it. It would have either been tintstuff.com, which somebody picked up years and years ago and has never been available since. And then like for the channel, I dropped it. I have like a lot of inconsistent naming though across the board. It's kind of annoying. So I have like DetroitTintStudio.com, but that's long. So I hated typing it out. So that's for like my business, for like the shop. So that's pretty straightforward. And then on YouTube, I just renamed the channel Tint Studio because I thought Detroit Tint Studio again was long. And then I looked for like tintstudio.com. I thought that would have been pretty good, but that was also taken in a couple different ways. So then I was driving into work one day and I was like, oh yeah, I wonder if I couldn't believe it was available. 313 Tint. It's very short. It's very easy. The only problem is there's going to be some people that think 313 instead of 313. But yeah, 313 is Detroit area code. So I thought it was very fitting. Just 313tint.com. It's really simple, really quick. I like it. What's the best way to clean tinted glass? I have 3M on my Hellcat. I want to do things right. Go to like a grocery store, get Sprayway. Very, very easy to take care of tinted windows. Just use ammonia-free glass cleaners. So make sure it says ammonia-free on the bottle. This stuff is available almost everywhere, and it's genuinely one of the best glass cleaners that I've ever used. It smells really good. Oh, it is. This is the best bottled glass cleaner that I've used. So this stuff will be great. The only thing about tint is there's nothing that you can add to it to make it last longer, which is really annoying because I wish you can ceramic coat. You can ceramic coat everything. Why can't you ceramic coat window tint? I talked to a few people about it. I was like, this would be great. You could, I don't know what it would do, but you ceramic coat your entire interior. You ceramic coat your paint. You ceramic coat vinyl. You ceramic coat PPF. Ceramic coat the outside of your glass. Can you ceramic coat tint? No. No, it does nothing. Great. Thanks. So there's nothing that you can do for your tint. But yeah, just ammonia-free glass cleaner. Because really all you're going to be doing is cleaning off light grease and crud off the windows. So as long as it stays clean, you'll be fine. Tint has a really good like scratch coat, or like good tints have nice scratch coats, so they're made to weather just general use, wear and tear, stuff like that. Chemical glass cleaner is great also. Cool. Chemical glass, invisible glass is another pretty good one. I've liked this one better. I haven't tried chemical glass though. There's a lot of like liquid ones, and then there's like the foamy spray can ones. I think I have it. There's like a liquid version of this that isn't as good versus like the foamy spray can. Essentially, like all glass cleaner, I don't know. If you could use 25%, like you could take a spray bottle, you could add some alcohol, rubbing alcohol to the bottle, and the rest water, and it's like the best glass cleaner that I've ever used too. I just don't know if it's going to be harsh on your tint over time. I don't know. But I don't see a reason not to use it. A window tinter has a cleaner that does just that. What? Coats the window tint? And protects it for longer? I could see like some arguments for like, so this is my thought with like ceramic coating. Is like maybe it could make the surface a little bit more slick. So like you're rolling up and down the window and it kind of keeps it like a little bit more slidey. There's alcohol and sprayway. Well, that's one reason I like it. There's just other additives that add a scent, make it foamy, along with like the can and stuff like that. So no wonder why I like this stuff so much then. But this smells way better. A lot of people like this because of the smell too. So this is widely available and it's super cheap. Oh, really? So there is now a spray for window tint. Oh, that's interesting. Do you like filing the top edge? I don't. I don't do either. I just suck at both. It's one of those things I wish I was better, but every time I try and do it, no. I gotta get another file though. I was really mad. I bought the file that T-Town recommended, and then I literally put it in the passenger seat. I had it there for like a few days, and now it's gone. Don't know where it is. I gotta buy it again. I don't know. I can't get used to filing. So I'm gonna refresh my coffee. I'm gonna run up front quick. So what I can tell you with, what were we talking about? Yeah, so I was trying to do shaving with my Model 3. It turned out Apex was a really bad film to try that on. I think there's honestly some films that'll be a lot easier to do that than others. There's some films they just tack up really flat and straight along the edge, and some films they just don't. And I guarantee you some of it also has to do with your slip solution mix, because you need it to grab the window when you're going to do it. But I don't know. I just suck at it. Look up Starlit Tint. They have the cleaner I was talking about. All right, I'm going to copy that. Can't right-click. That's interesting. Products. Maybe it's in products. The future. Oh, here it is. The future in window tint cleaning. Topical glass sealant, no ammonia or harsh chemicals. Leave the glass slick and smooth. Oh, that's interesting. Is a modern glass cleaner. Contains an active topical glass sealant to create a combination of cleaning and protection. Repeat usage of Cosmic Clean will result in easier subsequent cleaning. Leave the glass thick and smooth. Cosmic Clean does not. Starlit Tint, Fusion Window Cleaning. Is that the one? Or is there a different one? All-purpose interior cleaner. So this is probably for all the upholstery and stuff. Royal Shine, exterior detailing spray. No, it's probably that stuff. Nice. Oh, that's cool. All right, we're almost done. So not done yet. It's almost done. You could spray it. Oh, sorry. Da 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 da. You can use you can use McGuire's synthetic X spray wax on the inside of tinted glass. It's safe for all plastics. I'm gonna copy and paste that too. Does I feel like there's something there? Because, I mean, so it is kind of annoying that there's, like, I'd probably rather sell, like, a protection package or something like that. But having, like, a nice glass cleaner that people could use and then come back for you to, like, buy another bottle, potentially, or... Because that is something they'd have to buy again. That'd be interesting. I like the idea of it a lot. Nice waiting room. Thank you. How long have you been tinting? Since like 2008? It's like 15 years. Excuse me. Is it easier to match factory tint or remove and start over? Bless you. Thank you. Is it easier to match factory tint or remove and start over with fresh setup? You can't. No, you can't remove factory privacy glass. It's just colored glass, essentially, is what it is. So the only thing that you can do is tint the front in hopes, like, in shades that are very similar to it, and you'll get pretty close. Hello from Bosnia. That's a long ways away. What's up? You tint that window in the back of the computer. Oh, that one? It is. It's tinted in 20% right now. See this one? It looks lighter. And then, I can't point anywhere. Good God. Right there. There we go. And then this one is darker. I was playing around with some stuff, but I'm going to peel it back off. But it's been up there for like months now, so. It looks light. Yeah. It's inside. It looks the same on both sides. Mirror tint's cool. Yeah, you're going to see that with architectural films. Not so much automotive films, though. Yeah, I'm really really green with architectural films, which is kind of funny because I have to do some sort of meter presentation in less than a month, and I haven't even looked at the meters. I'll figure it out. No, we can't put anything on the Ultima because whatever we put on it, we have to take off for the class. But I did Omnique on, I did somebody's Audi in gold, and they messaged me back after like 8 or 9 months and said it had faded, but they bought the tint. So it was like, put on at your own risk type of thing. And we did the whole thing with the windshield. And they liked it, and then it faded. And then they're just like, I don't know. Yeah, that's a problem with most like Chameleons, mirrored films, and all of that. Like it's all sketchy. It's not a high demand product, and so it doesn't have a lot of manufacturing support. So really there's like sketchy, cheesy ones out there. And I mean, I've seen a little bit more, and there's like ones that are like the gold one. It genuinely blocked out a lot of heat. Like it was a ceramic, it was mirrored, it looked fine on the inside. It just faded. So that freaks me out with all of them because it's one of those things that you wouldn't know how it's going to look on your car until you've had it on there for at least a couple of years. You'd have to do like a very limited warranty, and then there's a lot of colors to pick. Did it fade to purple? No, it just like lighter. You could tell like a lot of the gold had faded out, and it was a little bit more just like silvery. But it was definitely noticeable from when it went out. They have like a red version that fades within like 2 or 3 months that they say is just for show cars. It's just to keep inside. So my only thought was you could potentially tint the car in a nice light film, like a 70, and then put that film on the inside of that, and then it would be protected, and you should have no problems long term because it's not going to get sun damage. But you just had to tint the car twice, and they only make 70% in like ceramic. So there really isn't like a clear UV film that isn't ceramic. Not really. So it becomes pretty cost prohibitive. And that's a bummer. Because we were talking about it. Man, I could make a handful of really fun Chameleon videos. It was pretty smart. So dude, I think about all this stuff a lot. So then I was like, even a student said this to me. And so I gave him all the reasons why it's not a good idea. And he was like, well, what could you potentially do to make it work? I like to think in terms of just solving it, not all the problems that you get from it. And I was like, all right, that's fair. So, yeah, tint the whole thing and then layer tint over it. And it'd be fine. It'd last. It's just the UV damage. So ceramic coating the glass isn't going to be enough of a barrier to help it. It's literally like you're going to have to put a UV barrier, and the only thing that's going to do that is window tint. Window tint is a UV barrier. But it'd be fun. It'd be fun if you could all of a sudden like sell Chameleon at like $1,500, and you got to tint the car twice, and it's a big process. There could be a market for it. I'm sure there's a fancy way that you can dress it up. So I think the nice thing about the Chameleon films, though, is that you only need a handful of colors, really, where color films went out of style, because they used to be a thing, and you can still buy, like, colored window films for, like, architectural stuff, but they're very expensive. and they look like the same through one side and the other. So blue is just blue on both sides. But with Chameleon films, it's really like you'd only need 1 or 2 percentages, if that, and then you need a handful of colors. So you don't need as much inventory. Where like back in the day when people were messing around with colors, it's like you could have 20 greens. So that's where like, and you could also have different shades as well. So you could see how like very easily manufacturers like, okay, this stuff just doesn't make sense to make and sell because there's so many variants that we have to make, and it's going to sit on the shelf for years, and it's illegal for most people to put on their cars. So like there's not a sophisticated market for it where everybody wants black, and the only differentiator is adding carbon and ceramic, so it like now there's reasons to have upgrades on it. Other than that, it doesn't make sense to go in like the color territory. That's where like, but with vinyl, it's like you can go as wild as you want. I was in the shop when they were installing it. They pulled it out of a new XPEL box and sold me definitely XPEL ceramic on the front too. It was originally going to be $400, but it was $200. Oh, but I thought you said you got PPF too. That's where it was. Because you just were like, bro, I got my whole shit tinted and PPF for $220, and it's like, You could see why we're skeptical. Would you do a sample on a piece of glass double tinted or leave it on the outside and see how long the tint color lasted? I don't think I would even do a test. I think it would work from day one. You'd be fine. You could do clear tint and then do Chameleon on the inside. The color is not going to be as strong because even with 70%, there's going to be a little bit of color block there, but overall it should do really well. Even when you put the gold, like I put the gold on an Audi, and you could see the green in the glass pretty well. So it looked really gold, and then it's like you put it on the glass. It's not quite as gold, but it still looked good. So then adding another layer of 70 there is going to make that color not show quite as much, but it still should do the job pretty well. He explained how it'd be more than 400, and I was more than grateful. Nice. Well, then that's cool. I'm happy for you. That's good. Yeah, I thought he did the PPF for that price, too. I thought it was like tint and PPF at $220, and we're like, what the fuck? Yeah, that ain't happening. Or if it is, it's some dude that wrote XPEL on the box. Fun note, XPEL PPF can strip off the clear coat on headlights. Whoa, I didn't know that. Dang. I wasn't a huge fan of the PPF early on, so this is like, I can hear it in my head right now. I'm talking from like years ago right now, but when I was introduced into PPF, I was looking at Lumar, and then I had also tried XPEL, and XPEL's PPF, like the glue kept like, it would stick and then it would break apart. You couldn't really push that film very hard. But Lumar's was really, really good. It was just a little thick. And then I saw Suntex PPF, and it was like a 6 mil, and it was perfect. It was way more user-friendly. So I'm actually curious how much more user-friendly those films have gotten. But at the time, like, Lumar wasn't even self-healing either. So when you were doing an installation, if you happened to just rub it wrong, you'd put a scratch, and there was no way to fix it. That was the worst. I hated trying to fix that shit. Yeah, I wanted to do PPF on my gloss side mirrors, but he said he would have to charge me $150 just for those. No more genera. Now he's an X-Spell shop. Oh yeah, I 100% believe you now. Yep, that sounds about right. Have you ever been solicited to tint taillights? Yep. I get asked often enough that it would be worth doing. I just still don't do it. All right, I actually have a decently good reason. This is a great reason why I don't like doing taillights. I'm gonna show you. So you would probably do this area right here. But look, see how that sticks out? So you could probably do stretch right in here, and then you'd have to like seam it or something right here. You can't do all this in one piece. And so there's a lot of taillights that have pretty exaggerated angles. Let's look at the fronts. It's when you get into like compound curves. So this wouldn't be as bad. So this whole area would be easy, and then you could wrap it over and tuck it into here, and that wouldn't be, I don't think that would be too bad to do the headlights on it. But I just saw how taillights got more and more crazy, and taillights is going to be way more similar to vinyl wrapping, because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're vinyl wrapping them. So you're taking like a really intricate part and just doing those parts. And at that point, I felt like I should probably do, like I did my Explorer taillights, but at that point I felt like I should learn how to just wrap cars, and I'm not going to be wrapping cars. So for the, I would charge like $250 to do taillights. So it would be a definite nice add-on. So if you're a shop, you got some spare time and you want to learn them, like, yeah, definitely do them. I'm just not going to take the time to do them. What's the way you got your building, and could you talk about what the price? Yeah, so it's not my whole building, for one. There's a lot of suites in buildings like this, and that's how they keep the rent, at whatever price that it's at. So sometimes you see like those strip mall garages, stuff like that, where they'll have more than one business inside of a building, and they'll rent out basically like the suites. So I looked around, where did I find the listing? Realtor.com or LoopNet, one of the two. There was like a commercial one. It might have been LoopNet. But there's a handful of places, a handful of sites that do commercial listings. A lot of them are really bad, though, because they just don't have a lot of information on it. You got to contact realtors, stuff like that. But I found one that was doing a pretty good job listing stuff, and there's a lot of like industrial garages and stuff around this area. So they listed like a couple units. So I just arranged to come out here, see one of the units, and talk to them about a price. And it was really straightforward. Not all of them are straightforward, but they will at least entertain like you coming out, looking at the space. And then some of them will just like do a credit check, a background check, and some stuff like this. This place, they didn't do that. They're literally like, yeah, it's 2 months down up front, and then you pay the first month up front. Sorry, 2 months down, security deposit, first month up front. So you 3 months in one, and then you can just move in. And then sign this lease. How long of a lease do you want to do? I said 2 years, which was a mistake. Because then they're like, all right, that's great. And then 2 years go by, and then they jack up your rent, and then you're already cozy in here for 2 years. But my lease price was $2,400 when I moved in here. This is 3,300 square feet. And then the market went like this. So it had already come up some, but $2,400 for the size of this place is not bad. I was just at kind of a turning point, and I wasn't sure how it would work out, so I was like, I'll play it safe and do a 2-year lease. Then 2 years go by, and the market goes, brr, and then I have to re-sign my lease when everything went up here. Fun. So now my lease is $3,400 a month. But it's actually not a really complicated process. There's realtors, there's people that are looking to put people in units, there's people that own those units, and that's why they have those realtors in charge of, like, so they'll have like a property company that's in charge of it, or they'll have their own realtor or an independent or somebody. And you basically, like, you can drive around and look for signs attached to buildings, call the number, talk to them, or you can look online a couple of places that has commercial real estate listings. Just start talking to them. It's fun to go out and look at the spaces too. But there was one other space that looked better, but it was going to be way more of a complicated process to move in. And I was looking to move in as fast as I could, because I went from tinting at home to not being allowed to tint at home. So then I'm like, all right, I need to find a place, and I need to find a place like now. So there's one place I went out to. It was probably going to be like $3,500 a month in rent. The space looked nicer. Didn't have as much parking out front. It was pretty crowded. But it was a nice looking building. But then the space in the back was like half office and half warehouse. So like we were talking about, like, yeah, what we would do is we could open up this wall, we could build back the warehouse a little bit more, close off the offices a little bit more, then you could have more workspace. And then, like, the thing is, like, okay, they can do that, but then they're just going to work the cost of whatever that is into your lease, and then so you just have a more expensive lease, and you'd be paying for the modifications to their space over time. And then it was like, yeah, we'll do like a credit check, we'll do a background check, and then these tenants aren't going to move out for like another 6 months, so we're just trying to find somebody to line up, you know, in the future for that. So it was really like, oh, this is just going to be a pain. So they had 2 units available in this building. One of them looked really gross. I actually posted a video on it that's on Facebook. And I thought I was going to go with that one because you don't need a real nice looking space. I just needed a space. And it would have been more work though, but the neighbor tenant to that space ended up leasing it out. And then this was the only space that they had left in this building. So it was bigger, it was more expensive, but it was cleaner and it was like ready to go. Except the upfront area, we did all that after a year. He pulled out a demo windshield to show me how ExoShield works. He was using a pen popper to shatter the glass. I was blown away. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty cool demo. Mm-hmm. Yep. Did he take out a high-powered airsoft gun with metal BBs in it and shoot it, though? Because that's what I did. I just wish I had the cash for everything. Mm-hmm. Yep. Moving into a shop is definitely a big thing. I was super nervous moving in here. It was one of those things where I was not looking for a shop. I was staying from home. I was happy. Overhead was low. Things were good. And then I got a notice from the city saying, hey, don't do that. And I was like, and then I still did it. And then I got another notice from the city. And they said, hey, really don't do that. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't do that. Once it turns yellow, it's difficult to remove. For paint protection film, what's the lifespan on it now? Man, I remember Lumar's non-self-healing film back in the day now. See, that's where, like, I don't know how good it is now. After 4 or 5 years, we did 5 years at the most still. Damn. Okay, so it was on my dad's Fusion for about 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And he would get that car washed about like every other day. He would keep it pretty clean. And it was probably the car washing that wore it out even faster, which is kind of upsetting. But the paint protection film looked worse than the paint. But then, like, you remove the paint protection film, and then you have nice new paint in the areas where you had paint protection film, and the rest of it looks like trash then in comparison. So, like, you essentially got to look at it like a disposable thing. But 5 years is definitely a lot shorter than I would have expected. Because, like, what's there's a market for it. I understand wrapping, like, a high-end car. And then there's, like, the Tesla market is pretty popular for it, too, because the front ends get chewed up because they're just flat. So, like, I get it. But it's still, like, it's not really, there's a huge market for it. I know. And I did lots of, like, regular cars. I didn't actually know how long it would last when I was installing it. I was just like, Lumar's paint protection film, it's expensive stuff. It's made to protect the paint. Lumar's got a good warranty. Trust Lumar. All right, let's do it. And then, like, every few years, they always say, like, there's a refresh and there's an update that'll make it better and easier to work with, last longer and stuff. So you just, in your head, you're just like, this will last for infinity. And then when you have problems down the road, it's like, oh, yeah, we fixed that issue. But it literally only lasts about 5 years. Yikes. Okay, so how long does vinyl wrapping last? That's actually something I heard something recently, and I was kind of shocked. Because I didn't really think about vinyl wrapping. So, like, a high-quality vinyl wrap, how long is it going to last? I want to know the answer to that one. $4 years? Question mark. Really? That's it? Like, up to 4 years? At least 3 years. I think people just don't know. 5 to 7. Okay. I've got, like, 3 answers now. 5 to 7 is way more okay. 3 years is no. I think if Friends started peeling close to the 5th year. Ugh. Because at that point, it's so baked. And isn't it just like a pain to remove? Like old window tint started to fade. Yikes. Three to 5 years. 3 it will remove clean. After that, the adhesive gets left behind. Oh, my God. That's something I really didn't think much about. Because window tint, you put it on the car and you're like, lifetime warranty, it'll last forever. If it's faded within 10 years, it's trash. But for whatever reason, vinyl wrapping's like, I don't even think about it. Yikes. It can be a nightmare. I've seen some, like, horrific ones, so I could only, just like cheap window film. I can only imagine how bad it can get. It cracks, it flakes. Horizontal, oh yeah, that's right. Roof and hood and trunk, get it off before 3 years. Oh yeah, because that's just sun exposure all day long. Damn. What a bummer. And with like how much more popular wrapping is, they don't really talk about this, do they? When somebody sells a wrap job, do they actually talk about that part? Or do they just kind of like gloss over it? Because isn't it like, I don't know, like $3,000, like $3 to $5,000 to get your full car wrapped? And then that's okay for 2 years. And then you should get it removed. What about those flex spray paint wraps? Yeah, like Plasti Dip. I actually don't know how long that stuff lasts either. That's a good question. I know you had to spray it on thick if you wanted it to remove, though. That's why I thought like Dip My Ride was so interesting at the time, is because it was like a spray-on vinyl wrap and it was cheaper to do and it was easier to do. It made more sense business-wise. It's just you could train somebody to spray it pretty easily. They should make a ceramic wrap. That way it helps keep the whole car cooler, and it would probably last longer. The best way to do that would be a mirror. You just reflect all the heat away. Otherwise, because ceramic film, what it's going to do is it's going to absorb all that heat into the glass and actually make that surface probably hotter. But the alternative is the sun passing through that and soaking into all the deck lid, the dashboard, all of that, making the inside still hotter. So when you keep it more surface level, your car will still get hot, but it helps keep the inside a little bit better. But when you keep it running, that you don't feel that sun passing through, where on the outside, yeah, the only other way to handle it is reflecting it away, which is what they do with house windows. Put reflective films on that. Did you make a oh yeah, I read that one. We provide a 5-year warranty on all our Topaz skins. It has to be applied by Topaz team of certified installers. Okay. So basically, wishful thinking is 5 years. More often than not, it's going to be in the 3 to 4 year range. You're going to want to have it removed, reapplied. I'm genuinely surprised. Because, I look at that, and I can imagine a lot of people have, this, when hearing that, has the same type of thought, oh, I like it, but I don't want to feel like I have to spend, $2 to $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever, and then have it removed after, 2 or 3 years. Because those years are going to go by quick. So I guess the only thing is, yeah, I'm going to trade this car in anyways. And then just do it again. So, yeah, that's one reason why I understand, it's a big money thing. If you have, an expensive car, then it's what the hell do I care about throwing another $3 to $5K at my car, and then it keeps the paint new. And it's if you can keep the original paint and you can sell it for more and then have it removed when you go to sell it, then, when you're in that level, then it doesn't matter as much. But yeah, kind of like the protection film for the windshields, it's more of a disposable thing where the average person is not going to spend $500 to $800 to protect their windshield when it's going to cost $500 to $800 to replace it. But the car that's going to cost $1,500 to $2,000, then you might spend some money on keeping it safe. On your $60K windshield on your Bugatti. We lived in the coast, needed paint corrected in PPF, a $1.5 million boat. Maybe that's why he didn't charge me full price. He had a lot of money of that. Nice. I forget that they ceramic coat boats and stuff like that too. God damn, I'm in the wrong business. Here I am doing some regular car windows. No, go after the big money. Ceramic coat boats. They even offer ceramic coating for like full houses and stuff. Do your countertops. Do like your steps. Do railings. Do everything. Have you ever had any issues removing tint from back windows in BMWs, delaminating defrosters? There's always a potential for that. But most of, like, so if I had to remove this in a year or 2 or 3 or 4, I would never worry about the defrosters peeling off. I just don't. If somebody like had their car tinted somewhere else and was bringing it to me to have it retinted, then yeah, you could always leave that disclaimer like, hey, the defrosters might peel off. Jeffrey, with the 5-star, $1.33. It says 5-star. Thank you, I appreciate it. That was really nice of you. But yeah, in most cases, I don't worry about peely defrosters. I know people like them, but I don't think they're the most critical part about a car anyways. I think people don't even notice if they don't work. They're just like... The only time I ever use my defrosters are when I got like an inch of snow or more on my car. And then I just like leave it remote started for about a half an hour before I go out to it. Other than that, I know there's people that use their defrosters, but like it's such a hot topic for window tint that I don't think it matters as much. But if I had to redo this and I had to peel the back window, yeah, is there potential for the defrosters to peel off? Yeah, there's potential, but most of them are fine because most of them are actually like decently made. I find it funny when someone puts PPF on their Tesla screens. Yeah, they have glass screen protectors and stuff like that too. I was thinking about doing that on mine, but I'm also not like a complete crazy person. So if anything, I was going to see if there was a way to just like reduce fingerprints. So I could try like a ceramic coating, I guess, and then just see if it's any better. PPF on your phone, funny enough, that is a huge industry. Now most screen protectors are glass, but PPF was like one of the original like beefed up screen protectors. They were just taking that same film, cutting them to phone size and applying those. That's why some of them looked a little like textured. It was literally like a company that made paint protection film or like Zag. A couple guys that worked at 44 Tools knew a couple people that actually started Zag, and Zag turned out to be like one of the like giant screen protector companies, and they were all paint protection films. So they just did those kits. Like if you got in that in like early 2008, 9, you'd have been doing real well. Hardest part was just templates. You just got to measure it out, but once you got a template, man, they're selling those things for like $50 a pop. Probably had like less than $1 worth of film. Nuts. But yeah, screen protectors got like super competitive. And now, like, you can buy a pack of 3 glass screen protectors for, like, $10, and they're actually good. So, there goes that whole market. Shout out to you and your videos. I was trying to figure out what SO stood for. I became better at doing tint. All does tips really help. All does. Thanks, man. I get what you're saying. Thank you. I appreciate that. Glad the videos helped. PPF a flat screen TV. If you have, might have to with my son, because I'm pretty sure he'll start throwing things at it soon enough. I'm looking for my first car. What should I get? Something that's straightforward to tint, like a Malibu. And then you get a Malibu, it saves you money. And then you learn how to tint it. Start making money. A nice four-door car to practice on. That's what I would suggest. If you're looking into getting into tint, Malibu, an Impala, not the most attractive cars to buy, but not the most expensive cars either, and they're just good round, all-around cars to, or you get one of these. Model 3s are actually cheap, though, if you can get by with an all-electric car. Model 3 was, like, shockingly cheap. All right. We're going to shout out some super chats. All right. Big shout outs to DC Customs. Nick Mariega, Daniel Reyna, and Samuel. Thank you guys so much. Oh my God, I missed these again. I did that like you. Allergies. Spring allergies. So fun. He had to PPF a slingshot. I don't get the slingshot culture. I can only imagine how not fun that car, that three-wheeled thing is all angles. I still don't get this. See that? Look at how not fun that would be. Who wants to PPF a slingshot anyways? Jesus Christ. Can somebody explain this to me? I'm not really looking for an answer. I was really surprised with these. I look at this and go, why not just get a motorcycle? Or why not go get a convertible? Like, what is the appeal of this? But they definitely have, like, some appeal. They sell. People like them. All right, I'm going to go buy one. No, I'm kidding. All right. Yeah, look at this. All right, I'm going to sign off here. I was waiting to see if there was actually any other responses to it. Yeah, me either. Fair enough. All right, guys. I got a couple. Fuck. What's today? Friday? Thursday. I think I got another one. I've got cars like Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and then I've got the class. So I think the guy that's coming in on Saturday asked if I could not stream his car, which was okay. But I think it might be back tomorrow. So y'all have a good one. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.